You're listening to the Worship Together podcast, where we have honest conversations about the songs we sing and the way we lead. Well, hey everybody, welcome to Team Talk via Zoom, which,
hey Jimmy,
here we are.
This is just kind of what we're doing these days, as is everybody else in America.
We're hanging everybody gets to see us on the podcast now. It's kind of weird.
I know that's a positive. Like, we don't have just audio. We actually have video.
Yeah, I love that.
It's established that we wish we had bought into Zoom about 3 months ago.
Oh my gosh, guys, the stock growth is like 10 to 12 times.
Absolutely.
We would have averted all losses of the last month had you just taken everything and put it all in Zoom. So.
Well, this week we thought it would be good to change things up a little bit. People are really engaging with content. Obviously, we're all sitting in our spaces with our families. We hope everybody's doing well, safe, and our prayers are going out to all of those that are affected here in the U.S., but also around the world. We have a lot of visitors that either visit the site or are on the podcast from around the world, and so we're praying for you all as well. And but we wanted to keep as much normal as possible, so we're plowing through, talking about what's going on in church, new music, all of that stuff. So maybe before we get going, guys and girls, Jessica, what's up? We can talk about how's your mental state, and maybe one thing that's positive that you've realized just being at home. Just for reference, we've been working from home. This is entering the third week for us, obviously at home, and maybe one thing that you've noticed from working at home that's been a positive.
No weekly commute. That's been great. I have so much extra time that I don't have to go in my car, just in general, for anything. I mean, I can't believe how much time I have back just not being in my car.
That's why the gas price is like $1.70 in Nashville right now.
Yeah.
It's so low.
They're desperate.
Yeah, it's like it's 2003 again.
I love it.
I think for me, the thing that I've tried to focus on, the biggest positive, is that, I've been at home, 2 weeks now, and I see my kids for lunch. I have breakfast with them. I get to read the Jesus Storybook Bible with them. I'm never getting home late from work. And, there are things about that are really, really tough. But I think the silver lining in all of it is I don't think my parents ever got this amount of time with their kids uninterrupted, even in the 90s, early 90s, late 80s, being generous there with the 90s. But, I think that, I'm just trying to relish it of this is time I'm never going to get again, potentially, with my family and my kids and my wife. And so stresses and all, frustrations and all with it. It's a really great opportunity to connect with your kids and your spouse in a way that I just don't know any other than taking a sabbatical, which most people don't have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
It's tough. And so I'm just trying to enjoy that for all it is.
Yeah. Well, for me, first off, let me say, as an Enneagram 5, I'm thriving. This is my best life. I'm living it.
All those buttons on that keyboard behind you are programmed to MIDI notes for something right now, aren't they?
Oh, for sure. And I love just the all the quiet time, the alone time. That's really great. So that's been fantastic. I agree with Jess's commute thing as well. What I'm trying to do, Goody, with our kids, because I think I've realized that same thing too. And you hear right now, if you're on Facebook or you're on Instagram, a lot of my friends, a lot of people that we probably all know, they're at that point of frustration. And you can get at that point of frustration, send the kids back to school, please, for the love of God. But my daughter, our son's too young probably to remember, but she'll always remember this as one of the most special times of her childhood, when mom and dad were home for 6 weeks or whatever. So I'm trying to be a memory maker with them. So we're building forts and doing movie night in every room of the house that we can possibly think of. We're just trying to make things really special. So I even set it up the other day. We did popcorn. They had to knock on the front door, give their tickets. I gave them popcorn, ushered them into the
You charging
theater.
them money?
Yeah, I wish.
Oh, I love that idea.
And it's
My
like
daughter, yeah.
just a movie, but we're trying to make every little moment a little extra special.
My daughter found my change jar, and she's like, "Can I have this money?" I'm like, "Only I'm going to make math problems out of the coins." So she has to do math with the coins, and then all the problems she gets right, she gets to keep that money.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
Pretty good trade-off.
you do what you need to do during.
Yeah, I've
quarantine.
noticed real positive for us is, like there's more people out on the street. I think people are they're home and they're getting a little bit stir crazy.
Oh,
In our
sure.
neighborhood, normally it's, there's not a lot of people walking and stuff like that. And this last 2 weeks, like I've seen neighbors that I've never seen before. Everybody's got their dogs out. Everybody's, and so as you walk, you're able to pass by, 6 feet in between and say, hey, how's it going? Where do you live?
Yeah.
And so that's been a real positive. I've enjoyed, just, people seem like, especially as the weather's gotten better, people are outside,
It's brought the neighborhood back.
Exactly.
Oh, for sure.
Well, let's talk a little bit about church because, man, right now it's sort of week to week, and everybody's figuring this out. I'm so impressed with all the churches right now and the creativity that's coming out of this. I've seen so many great ideas flowing, creative ways to get your worship service done, creative ways for the pastor to preach, community, all those things. And so I think this is probably top of mind for everybody on the podcast is thinking through and maybe just give some ideas like how is your church? Maybe Terrell will start with you because I know you guys are a little more developed and probably capable than most churches and even our churches. But talk about what you guys have done and some of the things that have worked well.
Yeah, well, we actually, just by the grace of God, our creative director started adding a lot of things on our live stream before this happened. We were just really kind of feeling impressed to, build our reach globally. And so we have hosts in the morning. So as soon as live stream happens, we have 2 people that are hosting it and they're talking, as well as people on YouTube live that are responding. And everything's pre-recorded, so you basically have the full band going, and you have the message. It feels like a real service. Like that's kind of the thing that we've tried to keep is the feeling of a real service, even though it's pre-recorded, to not have it feel pre-recorded. And then we run that on YouTube. And the cool thing that we've done as far as community goes because you've got everyone can tune into church. But one of the things that we wanted to tackle was how do we still build community during church services? And so what we started doing, my wife and I lead a Connect group. And so all of the Connect group leaders, we created Facebook groups of our Connect groups. So all of our Connect groups now are Facebook groups. And then we do watch parties. So our Connect group via Facebook group and Facebook watch party, we all jump on together Sunday morning. We pick a service where we're all going to be together and we jump on together and we actually talk to each other, like kind of chat to each other while service is going. And it really has helped us create that community during church as well. And then the fun thing that we've done with kids is we've just pre-recorded every week we're sending out the orange curriculum that week. This is kind of a special during the season, no license deal. But our kids pastor is just sending out like a 3-minute hello video, and then our kids watch it. So our kids are kind of watching Ollie the Owl, if you're familiar with Ollie, and they're dancing with the videos and doing all of that before church. And they do that, and that's sent out via email, and then we run our adult service through YouTube Live.
Wow. What are you guys using to stream with? Are you using OBS?
I actually don't know I'm not involved in that, so I don't know if it's OBS or Life Churches. I'm not sure.
Gotcha. Creative. Jessica, what have you guys
Yeah.
been doing?
Well, first I want to say, Terrell, I love the watch party idea. I think that's a really great way to create that community vibe, like you're watching it together as a church family.
Oh,
And
we
then
love
keeping it small like that, it makes it a little less like, wait, squirrel, you know?
versus
Um,
the whole church. Yeah.
yeah. So we've been live streaming ours, not a pre-recorded, I don't believe. So it's been going up on our church website, and then we've also had a YouTube live going at the same time as well. But then the message stays up, so you can watch it at a later time if you've missed it. But they always dedicate a time for like meet and greet in the middle of the service, so you can like text people that you're thinking of or whatever and have a minute to say hi. So my phone always blows up for like a solid 10 minutes on Sunday morning. But
Love it.
yeah, it's been cool. It's been interesting too. Like they've done communion a couple times from home. And so the first time this happened, it caught me completely off guard, and I had like cereal and coffee, and I'm like, is this even okay? But this is what I have to offer. So now I'm trying to, get a stash of crackers and grape juice to incorporate. But yeah, it's been really great.
I love that communion.
Goody, what have you guys done?
Gosh, so the first 2 weeks, we're a multi-campus church, but everybody wasn't set up to live stream, like didn't have the licensing right. So the first 2 weeks, there were 2 campuses that had that ability. So everybody had to go to one of those 2 places. So they divided it up, sent some of the pastors to one place, some to the other, and they kind of all tag teamed. And it was kind of weird for 2 weeks because it literally felt like our church didn't meet the first 2 weeks because our local expression in our town had nothing that felt like what we normally do, outside of some stuff that happened during the week and things like that. And so this past week, we pre-recorded the next 2 week services and for worship, and did last week's sermon. And then sermon's going to happen again this week. I think we're going to record Easter this week. But when we were recording the live stream, we've all had tons of conversations, like with people all through our business of like, what are people streaming? Have the set list changed? Are we singing the same songs? Like, are they singing less songs? And just, so I've watched more live streams than times I've been to church in the past 3 years, the last 2 or 3 Sundays. But going and actually doing that is a whole nother deal than us talking about it. And so, in that moment, we were trying to execute Wednesday night church. So in between service recordings, we did Wednesday night church and powered that from the church internet connection. So I had to make sure that was fast enough. But, I think now we're pre-recording, the sermon's pre-recorded, and then they're putting bumpers in, and there's literally a line of people at the main central campus firing all the live streams at the same time. And so, but yeah, it was interesting though, having to run the booth and have everybody in the band and keep it under 10 people. And so you're having to make production sacrifices to, stay in line with the guidelines and where you're at. And I think, but the thing that was most surprising to me is we did those 2 services. We thought we were going to have to come again and do this coming weeks because we didn't have time. And we're like, guys, let's just not rehearse. We've got the tracks in playback. We talked through the transitions and did it. And so 20 minutes later, we had the second week's worship service, and there was a little spontaneous moment in there that happened, and everybody had to look at each other. And so the first one felt a little like we overthought it. The second one, where we didn't have time to rehearse and we're just like, we all just have to wing this, feels really authentic. And I think we all let go and actually worshiped in that one. So I thought we did 2 the same night, but they feel completely different based on the amount of prep we were able to do for both ones. So,
yeah, the going live with a real live video is a little harrowing. We decided we weren't doing worship. We had taken a week off, and the pastor was just preaching. And so we decided, hey, we can do this. So I set up the iPhone, grabbed acoustic guitar. Christian, my oldest son, came in, played some electric Patty stuff over the top of it. But when we went live, the camera wasn't orientated right. And so it was showing us on the side.
Oh no.
So we're getting messages from everybody of you're sideways. And so So we had to end up flipping over to portrait mode. So I haven't completely figured out, like, the whole Facebook Live thing. But it's, and then we did it last, we actually broadcasted. There was like 5 people at our building. And so they actually shot the video there. And it was a little more well done. I don't know that it was exactly, it's like when you're standing on a stage singing to an empty room and that, it just feels a little bit weird. And so, I don't know. I think we're going to try to maybe find some happy medium of like, do we put 4 people in kind of in a larger circle and sort of make it home group style worship, but you still have at least 3 or 4 people kind of playing off each other instead of just one person leading, staring at the camera,
Yeah.
Breaking the fourth wall, Goody, is the weird thing. It's like, when you
we just went for it. It's just like you just
do not stare at the camera.
No, you do. No, but like you have to break the fourth wall, or you're just, because they won't break the fourth wall at home. Like you have to go there.
Because I felt like when I saw that happening, it was distracting me. Like, I just want to worship with you. It's
weird and it's different. So there's a couple different stats I've seen. The first is only 1 out of 4 people when surveyed actually sing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't doubt that. I mean, it's even hard for me, and I'm a worship leader, it's just so easy to.
The 1 out of 4 don't sing when it's live streamed, or don't sing in church.
It's probably not that different than normal. It's just they're all in the dark and you can't see it. But and the other thing is the average watch time. As you start to look at some of the data, it's in the 25 to 30 minute range.
So keep it short.
And so that's the thing I noticed from week 1 of COVID-19 worship to week 2 of COVID-19 worship was everybody that thought they needed to do 4 songs week 1, they all shrunk to 2 or 3 by the next time. Mm-hmm. And so, it's not that they're singing different songs. It's just we're all singing less songs and I think even pastors are preaching less because they can preach during the week. They can jump on Facebook Live. They can get everybody's attention. And, I think we're going to keep talking about this as we keep having these conversations over the next month, because the communication modes are going to have to change, and the engagement is going to have to the engagement is already looking different. And how does the church respond to that? And it'll be interesting to see what church looks like in a month.
Yeah, for sure.
Versus what it looks like right now online.
Okay, well, as an attendee, how do you engage with the service without letting yourself get super distracted? Because especially during the worship, like what can help you try to connect? Is there anything for you guys that has stuck out to you in the way that you're doing church Sunday morning, if you're not leading it?
I don't know. I get super distracted.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I think our first week that we played it live, I felt kind of guilty that I was distracted, or, like just kind of wanting to sit on the couch and
Can I go make a cup of coffee while the pastor's preaching here?
I was definitely cooking eggs during worship the first week. But there's a couple things, like, we're all in some way serving, and I don't know if you guys are doing Sunday morning at all right now, but for my kids to see me leading on the video on Sunday morning, their engagement level went way up.
Cool.
Because it's like, okay, that's cool. But it's tough. And I think for us, like, we all have to, it's really hard for us to turn it off. Like, let's be real. Like,
oh, for sure.
Right now it's like R&D at its finest, on Sunday morning.
Critique mode.
And so, and I spent 5 hours on Sunday.
Hey, if you're
on my porch. And so I did church on the porch, and, I sang while I was at the grill during one of them.
if you play an instrument, I saw some friends that they just grabbed their acoustic guitars.
I thought about doing that.
And so I thought, man, that'd be an easy way for me as a worship leader too, to just help me to enter in. It looks like I know these songs, I know the chords, and that's how I normally worship on a Sunday anyway. So why don't I grab it and just kind of worship along?
Yeah, we're already not used to being in the congregation, and now we're like on the couch.
Yeah, playing along, singing along, even though you might feel silly, I think it really does help for you to connect with what's happening and really engage and not be distracted by everything happening in your house. And even like taking notes, I'm like that at church too, though. Like, I have to be like writing, otherwise it's just not connecting. I have to like have some tactile going on.
Well, let's stop there because it looks like we're going to have several weeks to have these conversations. And as we figure things out, we'll share those and our thoughts with everyone. So thank you for tuning in. Hey, if you've got a question or maybe something that's working in your church, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at podcast@worshiptogether.com. And you can send in your thoughts, your ideas, or any questions that you have. So that's wrapping up Team Talk this week. Let's real quickly, Goody, talk about what's on the radar.
Well, even though the coronavirus has slowed us all down in a lot of ways.
Hopefully the coronavirus is not on the radar.
Yeah, hopefully it's not. It very much is at the moment, but it is not slowing down the releases. And so there's still music coming out. There's still songs coming out, and churches are still singing new songs. And so we got a few things to talk about this week. The first being Ring Collective released a new record called Choose to Worship, and there's a new song Cafe out for I Choose to Worship, which is really great. Our video team just crushed that video. I didn't see it till like it went live, and I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, super well.
It came out really, really well, and the song's just great. I mean, I think for us all right now, like we all have to wake up every morning and make a choice on how we're going to view, what lens we're going to view the world through, and what lens we're going to view Scripture through, and all this through. And so I think it's a really timely song, and I think if we all wake up and choose to worship every day, that's probably about the best way we could start our day.
Yeah, one of my favorites is Brian and Katie's new song from the Jesus Culture album, a song called Gold. And man, it's such a great song. It's got such a great lyric. And again, Goody, with the video on this is ridiculous. We actually had all of the Jesus Culture artists together in one place out in Sacramento. And so Brian and Katie are in the video. Kim Walker-Smith is in the video. Chris McCarney's in the video. Chris Kilala, Derek Johnson. So it's a great team video. Go check that out. But check out this song as well. It's incredible.
And Mac Brock has a new single out as well, Even the Impossible, which if you were at the Worship Together conference, he performed that there. And the video is now on his YouTube channel. You can go watch that and check it out. But such a powerful song. And he actually, he just led with us at Wednesday Night Church this past Wednesday. And you can check that out on our YouTube channel as well. But it's really special. It's he and Meredith, his wife, both just leading some songs in worship and a time of devotion and encouragement for everyone. And there's prayer involved, and it's just really special time to just like get away and be with the Lord and worship. So I just love everything Mac is doing right now. His heart for the church is incredible.
Yep, and Terrell new Young and Free music as well.
Oh, I love it. I already made a playlist. Mac's on there, Young and Free is on there. It's called COVID Worship. You can check it out.
And I'm not even sure, like when we heard all the Young and Free music, Best Friends we all knew was going to be the first song, but I don't think this was going to be the second song that came out initially.
Yeah, that was a switch.
But they sang it at Color, and they were doing it at Church on Vision Sunday a lot. And I think there's just so much, like when you look back at the songs that have been written over the past 6 months, there's just a whole lot, it feels like, that were almost prophetically written for this moment and times to things to sing in this time. And so, I mean, the
song title is Lord Send Revival. And that just feels so appropriate for right now and what we're all needing in this time of uncertainty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited for people to hear this music. It's an incredible blend of like super fresh pop sounds, but there are some killer worship songs on this project. Very church, recorded live. And so I can't wait for everybody to actually get to hear this whole album when it releases.
Yeah, and the electric guitar is back.
Yes.
Like in force.
So good.
It's back in force. Like
it has been missed.
Well, that's what's on the radar this week, and we're really, really excited to be able to bring you guys Robert Madu's talk from Worship Together 2020. It was the last morning of conference, and he spoke on, the title of the message was From the Water to the Wilderness, and he kind of just pointed out a few things of like, hey, when you leave this moment, like you're going back to the wilderness, and I don't think we fully understood what wilderness we were walking into after that talk. And so really hope you guys will stick around, give that a listen, and we'll see you next week.